Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, highly anticipated one-on-one conversation with the great Charlie Fajkus, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie, it's been a long time coming, baby. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate the kind words. I'm doing great. And these days I'm in retirement, my fourth year, so I'm enjoying life and trying not to mess it up.
Boom. There it is, baby. That's right. That's the greatest way is not to do nothing. Just let it be. Hey, I told you a little bit, but I'm going to tell the world right now. Charlie, back in the day, it was, you talked of all the St. Louis soccer players, but in the out-of-towner, it was always Charlie Fajkus was one of the top ones. Really, for whatever, the soccer name, just being up at being a Hoosier, that's the whole deal. You were well loved and admired here in St. Louis. And
Well, I grew up and played in Chicago, right? So,
yeah,
I had many opportunities to play against some great St. Louis teams, during youth. And back then, the big club was Bush, who we always ended up somehow meeting in some sort of a regional game. So, at a young age, I was very respectful and certainly knew how good the St. Louis players were. And then it was a great opportunity for me to play with some of them. I played with some of them as early as 16 years old. There was a team that went to Scotland, and
yeah,
it was mostly St. Louis guys. On the team I ended up, there were two teams. There was pretty much like an A team, B team. And I had the choice of playing, I was going to be a sub on the A team, which was all St. Louis guys like Ty Keogh, Larry Ulcer, Bursick. Or I could have played with the B team and I had a chance to be a starter, but I, opted to play with the St. Louis guys. So, I had a lot of respect for those guys at a young age, and we did very well in that tournament. And then, of course, later on, I got the chance to play with and against them, in college as well.
yeah. And you were Joe Kelly was still amongst us. Was he your assistant coach up there?
I'm sorry, who was that?
Joe Kelly.
Oh, yeah. No, well, Joe, I played with Joe. I played with Joe for 2 years.
Okay.
Joe and Rick Spray was there at the time. Tommy Redmond, Jim
Yeah.
Schmidt. That was when I was a freshman. I think the two of them were there only when I was a freshman, but Joe
Okay.
I played with a couple of years.
Yeah, and then the story goes is that you brought Barando. I don't even know what his name. The poor guy. Your teammate. The little.
Bernardo?
Yes.
Yeah. So we played on the same club, right? I played on an amateur club in Chicago. And really, we were all, by the time we were 17, we were playing in the top league in Chicago, which was a semi-pro league, and it was very ethnic-oriented. So the Germans had a couple teams, the Croatians had a team, the Italians, and, we were of Czech origin, and that's how I learned the game. My father was from Czechia.
Wow.
And so, and there was a guy named Miro Reese that went professionally as well. He didn't go to college with us. He went professionally and unfortunately ended up in a bad wreck in Germany where he lost his life. But, I was one of the first Chicago guys that went to Indiana, and then I was an All-American as a senior in high school, so I had some good accolades. But then Angelo followed the following year, and then several other guys from Chicago came, so it was a good mix of Chicago players and St. Louis players. It was actually
Yeah, man.
a really successful mix that Coach Jerry Yeagley was able to maximize.
Right. And then we had the situation. You're a young guy, but Chicago used to come down all the time for the Amateur Cup. And man, it was a battle royale. It was usually, you went to a soccer game and a fight broke out.
Oh, for sure. Oh,
Or,
for sure. There was
or,
always, I remember there were guys chasing people with corner flags, right?
yeah.
It got really insane, right? So.
But it was beautiful, man. The beautiful play. I still remember as if it was yesterday. Back in the early 70s, it might have been the late 60s, is here it was a guy picked up the ball, scooped it up, put it on his thigh, and just ran down the sidelines, pumping the ball in perfect unison like an Olympic sprinter with the ball pouncing off his thighs. As guys were trying to slide tackle him, he's going to go over him. It was unbelievable. It was almost as if when he came down to the end line, he didn't, perform the trick any longer. And it was just applause. Just, just games like that you never forget, moments like that.
And, well, it was a different type of game too. It was a little bit more physical from the standpoint of what was allowed as far as tackling guys, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You almost had to break somebody's leg to get a yellow card. Right?
Oh, that's terrible. Breaking somebody's leg, gosh.
Yeah. So now the yellow cards go flying pretty early.
Well, yeah. There you go. Hey, did you ever try to transfer over being a youth coach or anything like that, or you would have walked a mile in the blizzard other than coaching?
I dabbled in coaching. I coached both my kids as they were growing up, all the way to U18s. But to be honest, I played professionally for 10 years, and mentally I was exhausted when I was done. It took a huge toll on me, and I was one of those guys. When I was done mentally. Because for me it was an intense journey all the way, since I was probably 14 years old. It was always soccer. That was the only thing, and mentally it just got to me. So I had no interest in getting into professional coaching.
Yeah.
Although I probably could have, but now as I'm retired, I'm dabbling a little bit with coaching my grandkids, but I'm fine watching from afar.
Right.
I love the game, and now with as many games as are on TV anymore, and with me being retired, it's a great thing to be able to watch games from all over the world.
Yeah. Well, maybe with this, Well Certified can get you into the book writing mode, man. Write a book.
Well, you never know.
All right. Well, so were you ever friends or you knew of a goalkeeper, Mike Winters?
I don't think that name doesn't ring a bell, but
okay.
The memory's not as sharp as it once was.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, here it goes. We have a psychiatrist at Wales Certified, Dr. Chuck Skorumsky, big-time goalkeeper and big-time psychiatrist at Washington University. And he talks of the resilience that one has when they go through the whole deal and they are top notch for a long period of time. Because I mentioned the other day, Charlie, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Everything that I thought I knew of Charlie Fajkus was he was the golden boy. Everything was nice, but you had some different the business of sports kind of hey, what the and so correct me if I'm wrong, but you must have had a nice degree and had a was able to make a nice living, or and you married up maybe, but how was for people to know everybody thinks everything's so nice and easy being a pro? Do you got anything to say about the professional game?
Um, it's a business, and I think people probably don't look at it that way. But it's every day you're at training and there's a new guy coming maybe to try out, or there's a new guy being traded in, or there's a new younger rookie coming in the following year, and they're always after your job. There's no you got to perform every day. That's the biggest thing. And my mantra was always, get better every day. I mean, I worked really hard at it. But there's a lot of negatives if things don't go your way. You get benched. You got to deal with that. You got to get back into the team. Certainly injuries are part of it. Then you're out of the team. Because coaches, if they get on any kind of a good streak, they're not changing the lineup, even if, you're back healthy and if you were a starter. And then you can certainly get traded, right? Which happened to me. I got traded, got called in one morning and said, you're going to San Jose, right? And I just had a 1-year-old son, my first son, right? Things were rosy, in Chicago for me for 5 years, and then I got traded. So certainly there's ups and downs, and yes, you got to be resilient, or you can't survive. You gotta, you end up not trusting a lot of people just by design. So certainly mentally it can be challenging, and even just the game overall. I felt at that level 90% was mental on the field too, because everybody can pass a ball and trap a ball and shoot a ball, right? But
Yeah.
it was that mental edge that the great players, and that was the other thing I had a chance to play with and against some of the best players in the world, because in the NASL at that time, you had the Cosmos and you had, other teams that were bringing in world-class players, like Beckenbauer back then, and Neeskens was here, Cruyff was here, George Best was. So I got a chance to play against a lot of those guys. So you could see how they approached it mentally, right? So those kind of things helped. But yeah, you gotta stay resilient, and it really helped me in the business world as well. It made me really sharp in the business world as I got out of soccer.
Nice. Did you like prepare yourself in the family when you changed over, went into the business world, or did you say, "Hey, I got Tom, Dick, and Harry and Jane. They're friends of mine. They can help me out."
Not really. I got one. I got into sales, and the reason I got into sales was because the biggest missing component of when you're not playing is the competitive aspect. And that, for me, anyway, I was very competitive, and most athletes at that level are going to be competitive. So I felt like sales was the place to get into. So I got actually my neighbor helped me get a sales job in the old cellular phone business, right?
Wow.
Which segued me into after about 6 months into sales position with the wine and spirit wholesaler, which I ended up doing for about 33 years, right? So
Nice.
I started with sales and moved up to management. And what I found out there was coaching was a great way to improve your sales teams, right? So some of the lessons I learned really helped me when I was a sales manager, because I could coach my teams up. So
Yeah.
so a lot of lessons were learned, and they were valuable for me, through the game.
Wow, man. So it's did you like that movie? Always be ABCs. Always be closing in your sales. I forgot. All right, forget about it.
Always be closing is a good one, but
Yeah,
you got to be reasonable too, because it was a relationship business too, so you couldn't just
there you go.
beat up on somebody and then go up to the next guy.
Yeah, you go. There you go, baby. I tell you, as far as me with coaching, I'd rather be, no, not for me. And lo and behold, I love it. It's a part of my fiber, you know. And just under full disclosure, I'm a goalkeeper and I do a lot of goalkeeping clips and this and that. And I don't have any students. I got to goalkeeping school without any students.
That's a tough call there. That's a short-term business plan, isn't it?
I just found out a couple of years ago about a business plan. I thought, it's a real thing, man. you know, you don't have one, you don't usually make it to the other side.
Yeah, you're more like build it and they will come, right?
Okay, so here you go. You got 3 caps or more with the USA team.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to play 3 times. One of the I probably should have played more, to be honest. But back then you had to be released by your coach, and I was having some issues getting released at times by my coach to join the national team. But the 3 times I did play, they were qualifying games, for the World Cup in the qualification stages, and all 3 times I started and played, and we performed well. So certainly, to me, one of the greatest honors, right, to wear the jersey with the U.S. badge, and 2 of those games I got to play in St. Louis, so the Busch Stadium, which certainly is very iconic as well. So it was a very, it still is a very special moment for me.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. So that whole thing that you have any, I kind of consider you a man about town. And so, do you have any thoughts, any you want to share with anybody about the World Cup in 26 with the team and the whole layout of everything?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be the greatest event, ever, right? Has the potential to be. I'm a little disappointed I can't get tickets. Very hard to get tickets unless you want to, pay a ransom, right? I mean, it's very, as we all know, very expensive. I live in Kansas City, and it's kind of disappointing that it's hard for me to get tickets in my own town, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll probably end up going to one game in Kansas City, where I probably would have gone to 3 or 4. I do think it's a little watered down. With as many teams as there is, there's no real group of death. because first and second makes it, and most of the third place teams make it. I do think the knockout rounds will be pretty exciting. And I'm rooting for the U.S. guys, right? Hopefully they can get it together and make a good run, and at least get to the quarters. And who knows what happens after that?
Yeah, right. Well, I got to ask you, because you're the only guy. I've always wanted to ask this, and I always forget, but now I remember. How is it where you have blood, sweat, and tears, and you do the deal, and you come out onto the pitch, and boo! they call you everything underneath the sun. How does a Chicago guy handle that? Is that just all part of the game, and you come to like it?
That's a little rough. I mean, you come out at halftime after the team has had a tough halftime first half. That's a little tough. It's an eye opener, right? But I've always been motivated, by fear of failing, right? So that's failure was not an option, right? So
Nice.
you certainly had to dig down a little bit deeper and be really mentally tough and just move on.
Yeah, I think I yelled at a game one time, and somebody said, "Oh, why don't you go home and eat a Twinkie or something? Get out of here."
Right. We're all that way. We watch other sports and we yell, right? I mean,
Yeah.
What are we doing, right? We're yelling at a hockey game or a football game.
Yeah.
I'm a big Chiefs fan, and they didn't fare so well this year, so everybody wants to get rid of the coach, right? But they were in the Super Bowl, for the last 5 years, right?
Forget about it. Yeah.
It's only sports. It's only a game.
How about that? But man, oh man, you really have to think about it. And you really have to think that's kind of life. That, soccer is it's a part of life. It's not separate from. And that my buddy tells me that it exposes character. It doesn't build it.
Right. It certainly does. And there's no place to hide from it, right?
Yeah.
I play golf now. That's my thing, right?
Okay.
And so I retired, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm gonna get really good at golf. Well,
Absolutely.
I started playing 5 times a week, and I got worse. I mean, how does that work, right? So it's a very humbling game, right? But,
yeah, man.
Slowly, I'm getting a little bit better, but it's everybody's got their thing, right? So.
Right, yeah, man. And it's more like you play with the fellas. It's the ritual about the before and after.
It's more social, and that's one of the things that I missed playing soccer, right? Because you certainly have the camaraderie. So if you can certainly do that with a good group of guys on the golf course too.
Yeah.
As long as they're not taking all your money.
I got rabbit. My pockets are like rabbit ears. Oh man. So here you go, Charlie. Is there something? I've never asked this question before. So is there something that? Hey man, I got my masterpiece out there. This is my life. And it's painted this way or whatever. Is there something you would do differently, or you wish? Blah 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 blah. Are you happy with your career?
I can honestly say I did my best. There's certainly some moments I'd like to have back, like some key moments in games where not maybe, but I should have executed a little bit better. But there's also moments in games that I was able to achieve the highest, whether it was scoring a goal or making a great play that helped win a key game at the highest level. I do wish I would have had a chance to play a little bit more with the national team, but that was out of my control.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a little bit more political than it should have been, at least in my view. But overall, I got to wear the jersey, and I don't know that I would do anything different. I do believe in this day and age, the model's different. I probably would have ended up with some academy and not going to college if I was able to sustain the same level of success, or I would have gone maybe to Europe because I had that opportunity even back then, but it wasn't as popular of an option. But overall, I can't complain. I got to play with some of the greatest players of that time and against them, and certainly got to grow as a person and watch my kids grow up. And tell you, I'm not, I'm not certainly not disappointed in the way things went. I'm pretty happy with how things went. And I don't think I would have done too many things differently.
And that's why you're well certified Hall of Affinity, Charlie Fajkus. I mean to tell you, man, I've been wanting to do that since I first met you down back in the days. And I'd never met you, but just the name and just hearing the stories about you. But you're the best, Charlie, in my eyes, and I wish you and your family nothing but the highest best. But
thank you, and I appreciate it, and keep up the good work.
All right, hey, but you open up the barn door about the whole when you are a player and you want to play at the highest level, you want to do this, you want to do that, you're sensing, hey man, college soccer is not where to go. You got to go pro. You got to go to a higher degree in order to do the deal. And you even mentioned Europe. So I really would like your understanding of the landscape of a young lad in high school right now.
Well, to me,
or
the biggest thing is follow your passion. That's what I really believe in. And if you have the tools and the right people, you got to have the right people around you. I mean, certainly there's some people maybe not to trust, right? But if you have the right people around you, you have a good support system, then you ought to take it as far as you can. And in a lot of areas, I mean, school's very important, no question. And if you can get with an academy, or if you can get, an academy of a professional club and they want to sign you, I certainly think that education needs to be part of that contract, that they take care of or help you with your education, because that's an important piece. But I think those years, 17 through 20, that age, 16 through 20, are critical for developing, soccer players. I really do. I was fortunate that I had both Indiana University, and when I came home, I played, in that semi-professional league, which was of high caliber. So I was getting both sides of it. But in retrospect now, everything's a little bit more visible. I think if you want to get to the next level, you probably ought to try to do it sooner than wait till you're 22 or 23. I think that's still a viable option because players do develop later, right? But
Yeah.
A lot of that exponential development, I think, comes between 17 and 19 or 20.
Magnificently said. Okay, Charlie, so we're up against it, and I want to thank you, man. Thank you for your time.
Anytime.
All right, and what usually happens here is that we close it up saying, hey, Charlie, whatever you want to say to who you ever want to say it to, for as long as you want to say it for, this is your chance.
I just wanted to say thank you to you, and to some of my old buddies that got you to give me a call that I haven't seen forever.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll catch up with them. I think Indiana's planning a 50th reunion of the first team ever that went to the national final in 76. So that's 50 years. So I'm sure I'll get a chance to see all those guys. So
Nice.
If not, tell them hi for me.
I will. I promise. Okay. Charlie, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, Charlie, if it wasn't the best episode, it was in the top 3. Really put it out there, Charlie. Thanks a lot of food for thought. And yeah. And so until the next time, this is a fine time. And I'm trying to develop a goodbye, but I guess the best way I know how is to say goodbye, Charlie. The best to you. We'll be seeing each other.
Okay. Same to you. Thank you.
I know.